Epilogue, The Promise. Thanksgiving morning, 3 months later. The November morning light filtered through the kitchen windows of Damon Jefferson's house. Their house, Sami corrected herself automatically, painting everything in shades of amber and gold that rivaled the autumn decorations Zahara had insisted on making for what she'd declared our first real family Thanksgiving. Sami stood at the counter, her hands dusted with flour as she rolled out pie crust with the same careful attention she brought to lesson planning, while the familiar sounds of their Thursday morning routine played out around her. Zahara sat at the kitchen table, tongue poking out in concentration as she colored the place cards she'd designed for each dinner guest, and Damon moved between the stove and the oven with the easy confidence of a man who'd been handling holiday meals solo for years. "Miss Harper, Sami, do you think Gloria will like the turkey I drew on her place card?" Zahara asked, holding up her latest creation. The turkey wore what appeared to be a crown and had an expression of distinct satisfaction. "I think she'll love it, sweetheart," Sami said, glancing over at the drawing, "though I'm curious about the crown." "That's because Gloria's the queen of knowing things before other people figure them out," Zahara explained with 8-year-old logic. "She knew you and Daddy were going to fall in love before you even knew it yourselves." "She did seem to have strong opinions about that," Damon said from where he was basting the turkey, his voice warm with amusement. "Remember when she told you that first day that I was good with my hands, and you turned 3 different shades of red?" "I was being professional," Sami protested, but she was laughing. "I didn't know you were eavesdropping on my conversation with Principal Bell about needing festival volunteers." "I wasn't eavesdropping. I was standing right there in the main office, and Gloria was being about as subtle as a train wreck." "Gloria's never been subtle about anything in her life," Zahara said matter-of-factly. "Last week she asked me when you were going to make it official and give Sami a ring." Both adults froze Damon's basting brush suspended in midair. Sami's rolling pin paused mid-roll. "She asked you what?" Sami said carefully. "When Daddy was going to propose," Zahara said, apparently oblivious to the sudden tension in the room. "I told her it probably wouldn't be until after Christmas, because grown-ups like to take things slow, but that I was pretty sure it would happen because you guys look at each other like people do in movies right before they get married." "Zahara," Damon said gently, "that's not really something for you to worry about. Sami and I will figure out our timeline ourselves." "I'm not worried," Zahara said, returning to her coloring with serene confidence. "I'm just planning." "There's a difference. Worry is when you think something bad might happen. Planning is when you know something good is going to happen and you want to be ready." Sami caught Damon's eye over Zahara's head, sharing a moment of wonder at their daughters, because Zahara had become their daughter in every way that mattered ability to cut straight to the heart of things adults spent months overthinking. "What exactly are you planning?" Sami asked, abandoning her pie crust to sit across from Zahara at the table. "Well," Zahara said seriously, "first I'm planning that you'll keep living here with us instead of just spending most nights here, because your apartment is too small for all your teacher stuff and all our family stuff." "That's actually a very practical observation," Sami said, surprised by the 8-year-old's insight. "And then I'm planning that Daddy will ask you to marry him, probably at Christmas because that's when people do romantic things, and you'll say yes, because you love us and we love you and we're already a family anyway." "And after that?" Damon asked, his voice carefully neutral, but his eyes bright with something that might have been hope. "After that, we'll have a wedding in the spring when all the flowers are blooming, and I'll be the flower girl, and Gloria will cry happy tears, and Mrs. Washington will take 1,000,000 pictures, And we'll have cake and dancing, and everyone will know that we belong together forever." She said it all with such matter-of-fact certainty that Sami felt her chest tight with emotion. This child who had been so careful and guarded when the school year started, who had learned too young that people could leave without warning, was now confidently planning a future that assumed the adults in her life would keep their promises. "That sounds like a beautiful plan," Sami said softly. "It is," Zahara agreed. "But first, we have to get through Thanksgiving dinner without burning the turkey or letting Uncle Marcus eat all the cornbread before everyone else gets some." "Uncle Marcus does have a cornbread problem," Damon admitted, checking the oven timer. "Good thing I made extra this year." Sami watched this exchange, the easy teasing about family quirks, the shared history of holiday traditions, the comfortable way Damon planned around the preferences and personalities of extended family, and felt a deep sense of belonging settle in her chest. She'd been part of this family's daily rhythms for 3 months now, officially Damon's girlfriend, and unofficially Zahara's second parent. But moments like this still took her breath away. She belonged here, not as a guest or a visitor or someone trying to earn her place, but as an essential part of the foundation that held them all together. "I should check on the sweet potato casserole," she said, standing to peer through the oven window at the dish that had become her signature contribution to Jefferson family gatherings. "It looks perfect," Damon said, moving to stand behind her, his arms circling her waist in a gesture that had become natural as breathing. "Everything looks perfect. Even me with flour in my hair and pie filling under my fingernails." "Especially you with flour in your hair and pie filling under your fingernails," he said, pressing a kiss to her temple. "This is how I like you best in my kitchen, making our home beautiful, part of our family's story." "Our family's story," she repeated, leaning back against his chest. "I like the sound of that." "Good, because you're stuck with us now," Zahara announced from the table. "No take-backs on Thanksgiving Day. That's like a rule or something." "No take-backs," Sami agreed, turning in Damon's arms to face him. "I'm exactly where I want to be." The kiss was soft and sweet and tasted like the future they were building together one day, one meal, one small tradition at a time. Thanksgiving dinner, extended family. By 2 o'clock, Damon's house was filled with the warm chaos of a Jefferson family Thanksgiving. Gloria had arrived first, naturally, bearing her famous mac and cheese, and a stream of commentary about everything from the turkey's golden brown perfection to the way Sami had arranged the fall flowers on the dining room table. "Child, you've got a gift for making things beautiful," she declared, adjusting one of the centerpieces by precisely half an inch. "This house hasn't felt this much like a home since Damon's mama was alive." "Thank you, Gloria," Sami said, touched by the comparison to a woman she'd never met, but whose presence still lingered in family photos and Zahara's artistic sensibilities. "Don't thank me yet," Gloria said with a knowing smile. "Wait until you see what I brought for dessert." She produced a cake carrier with the air of a magician revealing her greatest trick, lifting the lid to reveal what appeared to be a wedding cake 3 tiers, elegant white frosting, and delicate sugar flowers that looked almost too beautiful to eat. "Gloria," Damon said, appearing at Sami's shoulder, "please tell me that's not what I think it is." "It's a practice cake," Gloria said innocently, "for a special occasion that may or may not be happening in the near future. I wanted to make sure I remembered how to do the fancy decorating." "A practice cake," Sami repeated, trying not to laugh. "For a special occasion that may or may not be happening," Damon added, shaking his head in fond exasperation. "Exactly," Gloria said with satisfaction. And if there's no special occasion, well, it's still a mighty fine cake for Thanksgiving dinner. The rest of the family arrived in a flurry of hugs and covered dishes and the kind of comfortable chaos that spoke to years of shared holidays. Marcus Jefferson, Damon's cousin, brought his wife and 2 teenagers who immediately claimed Zahara as their personal responsibility for the afternoon. Keisha Washington arrived with her family and a knowing smile for Sami that said, "I told you so," without saying a word. Sarah and James Chen from the Riverside Grill brought homemade rolls, and the easy friendship that had developed between the couples over months of double dates and community events. As they gathered around the extended dining room table, the one that had belonged to Damon's parents and was brought out only for occasions important enough to require seating for 12, Sami felt overwhelmed by the acceptance and warmth that surrounded her. "Before we eat," Zahara announced, standing at her place with the authority of someone who had important things to say, "I want to share my Thanksgiving project from school." She pulled out a large poster board that had been hidden under her chair, revealing what appeared to be a family tree decorated with autumn leaves and photographs. But instead of the traditional biological family structure, this tree showed something more complex and beautiful. Branches that represented chosen family, community connections, and the way love created bonds that had nothing to do with blood. At the center of the tree were 3 photos from their apple-picking expedition. Damon lifting Zahara to reach high branches, Sami evaluating apples with serious concentration, and all 3 of them laughing together under the October sun. "This is our family tree," Zahara said seriously. "Mrs. Rodriguez said we could make it however we wanted, and I wanted to show that families aren't just people who are related. Families are people who choose to love each other and take care of each other and stick together, even when things get hard." She pointed to different branches as she explained her creation. "This branch has Daddy and me, because we've been a team since I was born. This branch has Sami, because she chose to love us, and we chose to love her back. This branch has Gloria and Uncle Marcus and all the cousins, because blood family is important too. And this branch has Mrs. Washington and the Chens and all the people in Westbrooke Falls who make us feel like we belong somewhere special." There wasn't a dry eye at the table when she finished, and Sami felt tears spilling down her cheeks at the 8-year-old's wisdom about what truly made a family. "That's beautiful, baby girl," Damon said, his voice rough with emotion. "It's the truth," Zahara said simply. "We're all connected, like branches on a tree. And when new people join the family, the tree gets stronger and more beautiful." "Speaking of new people joining the family," Gloria said with the timing of someone who had been waiting for the perfect opening, "I have an announcement to make." The table went quiet, everyone looking at her with a mixture of curiosity and mild dread at what Gloria Jefferson might announce at a family dinner. "I've been talking to Pastor Williams about performing weddings," she said with a perfectly straight face. "Turns out I'm qualified to get ordained online, and I thought it might be nice to have someone in the family who could handle special occasions." "Gloria," Marcus groaned, "you can't just announce that you're becoming a minister because you want to perform Damon's wedding." "I can if I want to," Gloria said with dignity. "Besides, it's not just for Damon's wedding. There are other young people in this community who might need my services." "What other young people?" Sarah Chen asked, clearly intrigued despite herself. "Well," Gloria said, settling in for what was obviously going to be a comprehensive report, "there's that nice teacher at the high school who's been making eyes at the new coach, and the librarian who thinks nobody notices how she lights up when the bank manager comes in for his weekly mystery novel recommendation, and—" "Aunt Gloria?" Damon interrupted. Are you planning to officiate weddings for half of Westbrooke Falls? Only the ones who are too stubborn to figure out they belong together without help, Gloria said, with a meaningful look at Sami and Damon. Some people need a little encouragement to stop overthinking and start living. Sami caught Damon's hand under the table, squeezing it as they shared a look of perfect understanding. Gloria's less than subtle hints weren't pressure. They were celebration. This community had watched them find each other, had supported them through their fears and complications, and was now ready to celebrate whatever decisions they made about their future. Well, Keisha said, raising her glass of apple cider, I think we should toast to family blood family, chosen family, and all the people who love us, enough to meddle in our business for our own good. To family, everyone echoed, and as Sami looked around the table at these people who had welcomed her with such warmth, she felt the last of her old fears dissolve. This was what belonging felt like. This was what love looked like when it was built on a foundation of friendship, community, and the shared commitment to show up for each other no matter what. This was home.
Thanksgiving evening. Future promises. After the last dish was washed and the leftover turkey was properly stored, after Gloria had extracted promises from half the dinner guests to call her when they were ready to discuss wedding plans, after Zahara had fallen asleep on the couch surrounded by her cousins and the adults had settled into the comfortable exhaustion of a successful family gathering, Sami found herself alone with Damon on his front porch. The November air was crisp but not cold, scented with wood smoke from neighborhood fireplaces and the last of the autumn leaves that clung to the oak trees lining his street. They sat together on the porch swing that had belonged to his parents, wrapped in the quilt that Zahara had declared essential for proper autumn porch sitting, watching the quiet evening settle over their neighborhood. That was perfect, Sami said, her head resting on Damon's shoulder. Every single moment of it. Even Gloria's wedding cake announcement? Especially Gloria's wedding cake announcement, Sami said, laughing. I love how she thinks subtlety means using only 3 tiers instead of 5. She's been planning our wedding since the day you fell off that ladder in the school hallway, Damon said, his arm tightening around her. I think she's got the whole thing mapped out, from the flowers to the reception playlist. Does that bother you? Having our relationship be such a community project? Damon was quiet for a moment, considering. You know what bothers me? What? The idea that you might think I need community pressure to know what I want. He shifted so he could look at her directly, his expression serious in the porch light. Sami, I don't need Gloria's hints or Zahara's planning or anyone else's encouragement to know that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Her breath caught at the certainty in his voice. Damon. I know we said we'd take our time, and I know we agreed not to rush into big decisions, he continued. But I also know that some things are worth planning for, even if the timing isn't perfect yet. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box that made Sami's heart stop completely. I'm not proposing, he said quickly, seeing her expression. Not tonight. Not like this. When I propose, it's going to be planned and romantic and everything you deserve. But I wanted you to see this, to know that I'm serious about our future together. He opened the box to reveal a ring that was absolutely perfect. A classic solitaire with a vintage setting that looked like it had been made specifically for her hand. Simple, elegant, and exactly what she would have chosen for herself if she'd had the courage to dream that big. It was my grandmother's, Damon said softly. My grandfather gave it to her in 1952. And she wore it for 53 years until the day she died. My mama always said it was waiting for the right woman to love it again. Sami stared at the ring, tears blurring her vision. It's beautiful. So are you. And so is the life we're building together. He closed the box, but kept it in his hands, a tangible promise of their future. I wanted you to know that I'm not just dating you, Sami. I'm not just figuring out if we're compatible or if this is going somewhere. I'm planning a forever with you. When? She whispered. When you're ready. When Zahara's ready. When it feels right to make it official. His smile was warm and patient and absolutely certain. But probably not as long as Gloria thinks we should wait. And definitely not as fast as Zahara wants it to happen. Definitely not as fast as Zahara wants, he agreed, though I have to admit, her timeline isn't completely unreasonable. Sami looked at this man who had taught her what it meant to be truly seen and valued, who had made her believe that her stability was a gift rather than a limitation, who had included her in his daughter's life with such care and intentionality that she'd never felt like an outsider. What if I'm ready now? She said, the words surprising even her. Ready for what? Ready to make it official. Ready to stop calling this your house and start calling it our house. Ready to be Zahara's stepmom instead of her almost stepmom. Ready to marry you and build the life she's been planning for us. Damon's eyes went wide. Are you sure? I'm sure that I love you. I'm sure that I love Zahara. I'm sure that this feels more like home than anywhere I've ever lived. She reached for the ring box, covering his hands with hers. And I'm sure that if you're ready to ask, I'm ready to say yes. For a moment, they sat in perfect silence, the weight of the decision settling between them like a blessing. Then Damon smiled the slow, brilliant smile that had made her fall in love with him in the first place. Samone Harper, he said, opening the ring box again. Will you marry me? Yes, she breathed, the word carrying all the joy and hope and love she'd been too afraid to feel for so long. Yes, I'll marry you. The ring slipped onto her finger like it had been waiting there all along, and when Damon kissed her, she tasted tears and laughter and the sweetest kind of promise. Gloria's going to be insufferable, she said against his lips. Absolutely insufferable, he agreed. She's going to take full credit for this. Let her. She's earned it. And Zahara's going to want to plan everything immediately. She's already planned everything. We just need to execute her vision. They sat on the porch swing, newly engaged and giddy with the joy of it, until the front door opened and a small voice said, I thought I heard talking out here. Zahara appeared in the doorway, rumpled from her nap and blinking sleepily in the porch light. What are you guys doing? Sami held up her hand, where her grandmother's ring caught the light like a captured star. We're getting married, sweetheart. Zahara's eyes went wide, then bright, then absolutely radiant with joy. Really? Right now? Not right now, Damon said, laughing. But soon. Soon enough for you to be our flower girl and help plan everything just like you wanted. Yes, Zahara launched herself between them on the swing, wrapping her arms around both of them in a hug that felt like coming home. I knew it. I knew you'd figure out that we're supposed to be a real family. We've been a real family for months, Sami said, pressing a kiss to the top of Zahara's head. Now we're just making it official. Can we call Gloria and tell her? She's going to be so excited she might explode with happiness. We'll call her tomorrow, Damon promised. Right now, I think we should just sit here and be happy together. As a family, Zahara added, settling between them with the satisfaction of someone whose plans had come to perfect fruition. As a family, Sami agreed, watching the stars appear in the November sky above Westbrooke Falls. For the first time since Atlanta, since Marcus and the shattered wedding dreams, and all the pain that had taught her to be afraid of forever, Samone Harper looked at the future and saw nothing but promise. She saw Saturday morning pancakes and parent-teacher conferences where she'd sit on both sides of the conversation. She saw Christmas mornings and summer vacations and all the ordinary, extraordinary moments that made up a lifetime of love. She saw herself not as someone's safe choice or convenient option, but as someone's first choice, someone's forever choice, someone's absolute delight. She saw home in its truest form, not a place, but a feeling. Not a building, but the people who filled it with laughter and love, and the absolute certainty that she belonged exactly where she was. As Damon's arm tightened around both his girls and Zahara chattered excitedly about wedding plans, Sami closed her eyes and felt the last piece of her heart click into place. She was home. They were family. And love, it turned out, really was enough to build a beautiful life on, as long as you were brave enough to fall into it completely.
Thank you for listening to Falling into Love by Quinn Westbrooke. We hope you enjoyed Sami, Damon, and Zahara's heartwarming journey to finding their forever family in Westbrooke Falls, where every season brings new chances for love, and every story proves that home isn't a place. It's the people who choose to love you. Until next time, happy listening.